Nick Crowley, YouTube Darkest Video 9. Let's go.
The following video is sponsored by Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Safe. The West Coast Shrine Encounter.
On the morning of March 22nd, 2024, the Kern County Sheriff's Office was flooded with calls about an incident that had taken place near the Wasco Amtrak station in Wasco, California.
Is it the chemical
incident
stuff?
involved a pedestrian who was reportedly walking dangerously close to an active train track before being struck by an oncoming locomotive, a situation that authorities knew was likely unsurvivable. Police arrived at the scene shortly after 8 a.m. and were met with the aftermath of the accident, as they found 48-year-old Horacio Ayala Penosa deceased on the tracks, with the force of the impact being so strong that his body
we saw this in some other video, maybe like Lizzie Masquerade, I think.
Was torn apart and scattered all
Let's watch it anyway.
At first, it was believed to have been a clear-cut suicide, but after interviewing some of the witnesses, police learned that the man had never stepped in front of the train, and rather, he had actually been sucked underneath as a result of walking too closely, painting a clearer picture that this was all a tragic accident.
Underneath.
But as police were conducting these interviews, one strange detail kept coming up, as apparently, Horacio wasn't the only one on the tracks around the time of the incident, with there allegedly having been one other man standing nearby, a man who took off shortly after Horacio had been killed. And strangely, witnesses believe they saw the man reach down and pick something up before leaving. For the officers on the scene, finding this man became the next obvious order of business, but by this point, he had already found himself a few blocks away, where he was spotted by a group of construction workers. The group watched as the man walked towards them, appearing to hold some sort of large item in one of his hands, the same item that had been taken from the train tracks. And the closer he got, the clearer it became what exactly this thing was. It was a human leg.
Video was recorded by one of the construction workers at the scene. Just casually walking with someone's leg, you know?
For some inexplicable reason, when the train had dismembered Horacio, this man had run over and picked up his leg, and he was now waving that leg on the sidewalk of a nearby road, with the construction crew claiming that he had been banging it against the fence as he walked towards them, and at one point had even struck the leg against one of their machines. Upon the realization, a wave of fear washed over the group, as they were unsure what this man had done to get this leg, or what he would do next, though that was something that even the wildest of imaginations could have never predicted. As the man looked down at the leg and began...
Even if you're high, I don't know how this happens, you know what I mean? Like, you're just walking around, some guy dies, his leg is cut off, you pick up his leg, you decide to walk around with it and start eating it. Like, even being high or having some big mental illness, I can't imagine like the level of being unwell that you have to be to reach this level, you know? I can't imagine.
Eating it, as the workers watched on in horror. Officers arrived on the scene immediately after this, and when they asked the man what he was doing with the leg, he explained that it belonged to him, and that he was taking it to a nearby hospital to have it reattached. But it was obvious to everyone there that this man wasn't missing any of his legs, with the officers having to go as far as to prove it to him by making him roll up the sleeves of his pants and touch both of his legs. His explanation was completely nonsensical, and obviously didn't account for the fact that he was literally eating the leg just minutes before, leading to officers immediately placing him under arrest. His name was Rosendo Tejas, a 27-year-old man who had been experiencing homelessness and had been living on a street near the train tracks, with police determining that he did in fact have nothing to do with the actual death of Horacio. He just so happened to be near the tracks at the time, where he would first witness the accident, and then, for some unknown reason, take Horacio's leg and start eating it. It appears as though this was the result of a combination of both drugs and alcohol, as he was found carrying narcotics when he was taken into custody, and he had just been captured by security cameras purchasing alcohol at a nearby liquor store just hours before the incident. But what's so interesting about this footage is just how normal Rosendo seems. In fact, the people working there knew him quite well, as he stopped in almost daily, where he was described as being polite and ordinary, including on the day of that incident. In fact, it said that at first the shop owners didn't believe that Rosendo could have possibly done this, but it seems that whatever substances he had taken that day had changed him. Rosendo Tejas was charged with 2 counts of
I don't know drugs enough to tell you
and 1 count
what it
of
could be.
destroying or concealing evidence, as well as resisting a police officer, and was sentenced to 1 year in prison after pleading no contest, bringing this absurd case to an end. However, his unsettling behavior will forever live on in one of YouTube's darkest videos.
That is fucking dark, that's for sure, yeah. I have no idea. Like, you know, there's some drugs that are pretty fucked up. Like, we see in the US, they have fentanyl, which is, you know, like, every time I see some YouTube video about it, it's just, I can't believe the level of fucked up that is, you know, like, people just zombie-like bent over, like, almost falling on themselves, but not actually passing out, and it's just fucked, you know, but you're too out of it to do this, right? So this is something else. Yeah. I have no idea.
Fun of Halloween should not include mischief.
Makes you sick to your stomach, though. Chapter 2 watched.
It was just past 10 p.m. Safely tucked away in her second-story apartment, 20-year-old Hannah Vivaretti set up her phone to record a video of herself dancing. For her, this was a meditative practice, a way of unwinding after a long, stressful day, and to truly feel at peace. But that day, fate had other plans.
What? Ghost?
As Hannah was dancing, something off camera caused her to stop dead in her tracks and yell, "Who are you?"
Woman vision?
Whom Hannah had never seen before, standing in the doorway of her balcony, which again was on the second floor. Meaning that man had climbed up, cracked open the door, and was now standing in her home staring at her, quietly muttering
That's terrifying.
nonsensically with a big grin on his face.
Who are you? Who are you? Please get off.
Hannah stopped the music and again asked, "Who are you?" To which the man responded by saying,
Please get out.
Oh man, you know, I mean, you can't know how you would act in a situation like this, but she's way too not reactive. I mean, you should try to run or get a weapon. I mean, I don't know how the guy looks, but fuck. You know, just, I don't know. Terrifying.
No, please get out. Yes.
but her demeanor and the panic in her voice made it all too clear that this was far from the case.
Who are you? Please get out of my apartment right now.
She started to make her way over to her phone and then towards the front door. All the while, the man kept calmly insisting that they be friends, but Hannah was having none of it.
Please get out of my apartment right now.
Opening her front door and in the process,
Get out. Get out.
pointing the camera directly at the intruder, giving us our first and only glimpse of the man as he's standing
I
still
don't
in
see
the balcony doorway.
anything.
And with her front door now open, she yelled at him to get out, loud enough for the neighbors to hear.
Get out.
Which finally caused the man to retreat. As it turns out, Hannah did actually know who this man was, at least vaguely, as he lived in the same apartment complex, but he never
Okay.
actually spoke to her. He would always just stare and smile, making it apparent that he had some sort of sick interest in her. As for why he entered her home that night, it's fairly obvious that his intentions were incredibly sinister, with Hannah recalling that during the entire experience, his hands never left his hoodie pocket, making her wonder if he was holding onto some sort of weapon that he may have been planning to use on her. But thankfully, because of her swift reaction, we'll never truly know what he had planned that night.
I wouldn't call it swift.
Days after the incident, police would arrest 36-year-old Angel Moses Rodriguez Gomez and charge him with stalking, second-degree assault, third and fourth-degree burglary, and malicious
Assault?
destruction of property. But surprisingly, shortly after his arrest, they allowed him to walk free on bail. And given that he lived in the same apartment complex as Hannah and clearly knew where she lived, this decision was incredibly controversial, with Hannah
Yeah,
herself
that's
stating
stupid.
in an interview that, "I just don't think it's fair that he's walking freely right now, and I have to watch my back at every angle." Thankfully, the court's decision would not lead to any further escalations in the case.
It is one of the shittiest things with living in an apartment complex. I mean, I guess it's the same if you live in a block of houses, right? You know, not getting along with your neighbor is not great, but apartment complex even more, right? You really can't avoid it. Like, literally, you know, I'm in that situation right now where, like, just across, you know, if I open my door, like, there's 2 meters and there's another door, and the neighbors there, you know, we've had little issues with them. And, you know, it's kind of like one of those things where, like, every time you go out, you try to not cross anybody because you don't want to have an interaction and drama and stuff like that. It's just, you know, kind of terrifying. So I can only imagine, especially if it's someone who's, like, literally broken into your place and they're living in the same apartment. Like, even with my door locked, you know, you wouldn't feel safe. I mean, imagine trying to sleep.
Case. And today, Angel no longer lives in the country, but the footage is incredibly chilling nonetheless, and it sent me down a rabbit hole of home invasion videos late the other night. And here on YouTube, I came across countless unsettling examples.
I'm sure, yeah.
One such example comes from Sarah.
For me, like, more terrifying than home invasion is, like, frogging. You know, the act of someone living in your place, but you don't notice them for a while, from, like, a few days to months, right? I always think of that video of some guy who, you know, for a while he was thinking it's weird, like some of his food is disappearing from his fridge, and he couldn't remember, so he decided to install a camera, and he realized that there was a woman living in, like, a secret attic partition or something, and she would come out at night, take some food, and go back up, and she had probably been there for months. It's, I think it's even more terrifying. Like, the concept of frogging is just so terrifying.
Off Russia, and shows a woman moments after being awoken by the sound of knocking as she lay in bed in her apartment. It was around 4:30 a.m., which was already unusual enough, but things became downright horrifying for her when she realized that the knocking wasn't coming from the door. It was coming from the window.
Oh,
Outside
wow.
of her window was a man banging
That
his
is
head against
fucked.
the glass over
It
and
looks
over
insane.
again. And equally as disturbing, this woman's unit wasn't on the first floor. She was 2 stories up,
Oh,
and she didn't have a balcony.
oh.
Across the street, a neighbor filmed the incident as it happened, showing us that the man was standing on one of the building's gas pipes while he continued to strike the window. Eventually, these hits grew so forceful that the glass started to break, and his head began bleeding profusely, finally leading to the man stopping, but not in the pursuit of entering the home.
What the fuck? I mean,
У него пена изо рта.
Слушай, это дурачка пена изо рта, мне в бешенство или чё? Ну, бля, попей мочи, иди отсюда уже.
As he instead climbed to a different window where he attempted to peel it open with his fingers. But by this point, police had already arrived on the scene, and eventually the man would be forced down and placed under arrest. When looking for an explanation as to why this man was doing this, it appears that he was under the influence of bath salts during the ordeal. But aside from
look
this,
at
I
him.
couldn't find any other information about the man's identity, or whatever became of him. But I was able to find that this clip doesn't tell the entire story, as the woman behind the camera actually spoke to a local reporter and provided additional context to the ordeal, which only made the story more terrifying. At first, he knocked with his hands. Then he began to peck at me at the window with his head for an hour and a half without stopping.
That much?
After that, he started shouting my name to the whole yard. He was foaming at the mouth. His whole face was covered in blood, and he shouted that he wanted to talk to me, and he needed me. With the most terrifying part of the statement being that she had no idea who this man was, or how he could have even known her name. The idea of both of these intruder
Stalker.
videos featuring people whom the victims had never even spoken to makes them especially unsettling, as it shows that you really never know who's watching and who might be obsessing over you.
bro, it makes me terrified, and I'm living on the 4th floor, right? And, you know, the balconies are not easy to climb, and yes, I'm kind of terrified. You know, I've got like a double door window, I guess, and barely a balcony, right? Like, it's literally like 10 centimeters and a railing. But now I'm kind of terrified. There's no lock on it. And during summer, I often sleep with it open.
But incidents like this can be equally as chilling when the intruder is someone that you do know. Mohammed Amana was a 26-year-old man living in Orrefors, Sweden, and had been dating a woman named Maria. But after several run-ins with the law, Mohammed's lifestyle just became too much for her, and she eventually decided to end the relationship. This caused Mohammed to become enraged, an emotion that was only further heightened when he discovered that she was staying with a male friend of theirs. And on the 25th of May, he would show up at his doorstep and ask to speak to Maria. Inside, the male friend
think
and
I've seen
Maria
that
both
video.
refused to let him in and told him to leave, and for a moment he did, though only temporarily, as he would return minutes later, this time armed with a ladder. And noticing what he was trying to do, the homeowner began recording on his cell phone.
En stege. En
Yeah, I think
stege.
I've seen this on Reddit.
Okej.
Vad gör du, Mohammed?
Ska man gå in?
This one doesn't end well, I think.
The man behind the camera asks, "What are you doing? Are you going to fight me?" To which Mohammed said no, he just wanted to speak to Maria. As he said this, his demeanor was unsettlingly calm as he continues making his way up the ladder.
Mohammed, du kommer inte upp här. Du kommer inte in I mitt hem.
They're letting him come in, it's the stupidest thing.
With his demeanor being so calm that the cameraman couldn't tell if Mohammed was a threat or not, though it wouldn't take long for him to get his answer.
Yeah.
Du kommer inte in I mitt hem. Därför han högg mig med en kniv, Maria. Han högg mig med en kniv.
In an instant, Mohammed struck the cameraman, causing him to retreat into his room, closing the sliding glass door just in time for Mohammed to step on the balcony and brandish a large kitchen knife.
En stor köttkniv. Såg ni det? Du, han krossar glaset med en sten.
Why are you just standing here? Like, you should have run the second you close the door.
By the attack, the man holding the camera retreated even further into the house, while Maria had already run into the bathroom and locked the door behind her, a door that Mohammed would quickly
Thanks,
rush over
Maria.
to.
Mohammed. Släpp in mig på dörren så han kommer in. Han kommer in, Maria. Mohammed, hugg du. Mohammed, du högg mig redan.
And desperately tried to open, even trying to use his knife to turn the lock, as that lock was the only thing standing in the way of what he was there to do.
So fucking
What
scary.
exactly that was is unknown, as police would manage to arrive on the scene within minutes of this footage being taken, where they would arrest Mohammed before he was able to get to Maria. But it's clear based on the fact that he had a weapon on him and his desperate attempt to breach the house that he
It's like
didn't
the
just wanna have
cameraman.
a conversation.
Okay, I don't know why I thought... I think it was another story like this where the guy actually got stabbed. But yeah, like, it's the meme of the cameraman never dies, right? I mean, you'd think the cameraman was gonna get attacked, and yet...
In the end, the man filming was left with only minor cuts. Mohammed was sentenced to 2 years in prison, as well as a 10-year ban from the country of Sweden, leaving us with 3 haunting videos of 3 disturbed intruders, whose true intentions will thankfully never be known.
Terrifying.
It's the spookiest time of the year, a time when the consumption of horror movies and dark YouTube videos reaches its peak. But while fun in the moment, the true terror of consuming this content often occurs long after the credits roll, when you close your eyes to go to sleep, only to feel the sickening feeling of paranoia, every creak in your home sending a jolt of panic throughout your body, making you wonder if someone or something is inside your house. I was just like you once. Consuming creepy content is my livelihood, and as a result, I've spent countless sleepless nights feeling uneasy within my own home, never quite feeling safe and secure, always wondering if something was lurking around me, until I realized that the reason I didn't feel secure was because I wasn't. The only thing standing between me and the outside world was a simple lock, and I knew it was time for a change, with that change finally coming when I partnered with this video's sponsor, SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe is a home security system that you can control right from your phone. The SimpliSafe app allows you to arm and disarm the system, as well as view your live camera feeds anytime in any place. When I'm panicking in bed, I can just check the footage and be reassured that no one else is around. And when I'm away, I can check to make sure my belongings and
That sounds kind of insane, though.
my dog are safe. But SimpliSafe isn't just your run-of-the-mill security system. They utilize something called Active Guard Outdoor Protection, which uses AI technology to identify threats outside of your home. So if someone is in the area acting suspiciously, it will send an alert to a monitoring agent, who can then trigger the alarms, send out an urgent police dispatch, or even talk to the persons or persons in real time. And all this is happening before a break-in even occurs. Whereas with old school systems, by the time the alarm goes off, your home has already been breached. It's peace of mind in the place where we should all feel most at peace, which means the terror can end when the credits roll. And if you want to feel that same peace of mind, you can save 50%
It sounds
off
kind
your
of
very own
paranoid, but
SimpliSafe security system.
after the story just saw, you know, it's like,
Professional monitoring plan.
maybe not so
Visit
much.
SimpliSafe.com/Nick Crowley to customize yours, and there's no safe like SimpliSafe.
About 10. Video blog 1, the story of Noah Arpam.
Alright, hey folks, this is Noah, getting my blog live. Trucks and trucks and lots of trucks.
This is the very first footage that Noah Harpum would post to YouTube. After years of having a channel, Noah finally decided to give uploading a try, posting this inaugural video to a self-titled channel on October 29th, 2015, titling it 102915 Video Blog Number 1, and introducing himself to the platform with a simple "Hello World" in the description.
No, but I did want to dissect just the beginning of a sermon given by a Pastor Bill, a guy that my dad has been following, taking ideas from for 10 years at least. He and his family have 2 kids.
In the video, Harpum paces throughout his home and discusses a priest named Pastor Bill, whom he believes was influencing his father and his family, and clearly not in a good way.
I've been ignorant of it for a long time, so I wanted to look at it, and I challenged him just to look at 15 minutes of this sermon.
Though he gives no context as to who this pastor is, only mentioning that he had been ignorant of the situation for a while, and that this video was his response after trying to expose the truth to his father.
Been waiting and waiting, and I haven't heard anything. So I was going to just post my reply, and I guess that's how I'll start my blog.
Again, what this truth is unclear, as the lack of information makes this
Very
video
mysterious,
confusing to watch. And ultimately, it tells us very little about who Noah was, let alone the other people he was discussing. But he did end the clip by making it clear that this was only the beginning of what would be a reoccurring blog series that would showcase just him, his thoughts, and his camera.
The blog is just going to be me with a video camera, and that'll be it. We'll see what happens.
But before those uploads would come, Noah had pinned a website in his description that directed users to a
Son,
blog
what
post written by
want
him that
food
same
and
day,
sleep.
titled, "Is my dad in a cult? Even worse, is it satanic?" Throughout the writing, Harpum loosely provides additional context for his video, as he breaks down a sermon given by Pastor Bill, who is shown to be Bill Johnson, a well-known preacher from the Bethel Church in Redding, California, who had garnered a large following online. And despite the sermon being over an hour long, Harpum goes through it point by point, critiquing everything that he said. And the more he typed, the more angry he got. And the more angry he got, the more nonsensical his words became.
Vegetables have an
I'm
excuse.
attempting to present a case that shows the leader of this prestigious institution, along with a select group of rulers, are using mind control techniques to poison and confuse legions of useful idiots that slave away to keep the institution humming along, and that this man, Pastor Bill Johnson, and his ruling caste are using mind control to keep people imbalanced and ignorant, in a state of perpetual waiting for the material world to be defied, while they themselves are profiting immensely in this material world. The blog gives us a peek behind the curtain of the man shown in this video, a man who seems to be clearly mentally unwell, paranoid, and very angry, with the post making it clear that the purpose of Noah's content was to bring this pastor down, and video blog number 1 was supposed to be just the start. However, there would never be a video blog number 2.
Did they actually take him down?
After posting this video, Noah's life would take a drastic turn.
Like physically
Colorado Springs,
take him
911,
down?
what's the exact location of your emergency? Repeat that one more time for me and make sure I correct.
Well, it's across the street from me. I'm calling from my address.
Tell me exactly what happened.
Well, there was a guy walking around with like 2 cans of gasoline or something, 2 small cans, and a big, like a rifle. It was black, and it had a strap around it. He's walking up to doors and stuff.
At 8:35 a.m. on Halloween morning, a woman named Naomi Bettis called 911 after witnessing a suspicious man walking around her neighborhood in Colorado Springs, as she watched him carrying several cans of gas, as well as an AR-15 that was hung over his shoulder. She
Who
didn't
is
know
the
it at
AR-15?
time, but this man was her neighbor, Noah Harpum.
And then I seen that he walked into the building, and the glass window at that business is broke.
And that's a business? What's the name of the business?
I have no idea, but I just know I don't know if it's a fake gun, BB gun, but it looks pretty scary.
As the call progresses, Naomi explains that she had watched him enter a nearby business, where one of the windows appeared to have been broken.
How would you even assume it's
She
a
wasn't
fake
sure if
gun?
anything
It's
illegal
the
had
US.
happened at this point, but she was
There's
convinced
more
that
gun
Noah
than
was up
people.
to something sinister, which based on what he had in his possession seemed to be the only logical conclusion. However, this concern wasn't felt by everyone.
Okay. And you said it looked like a long gun, correct? Like a rifle?
Yes,
Well, it is an open carry state, so he can have a weapon with him or walking around with it. But of course, having those gas cans, it does seem pretty suspicious, so we're going to keep the call going for that.
Okay, and the window's broken to that business downstairs, so.
Right. And you said he's now upstairs, correct?
Yes,
And are you or anyone else in immediate danger?
No.
Okay.
As the operator seemingly brushed aside the incident,
Not
stating
that you know,
she
but
was
there's a
only
guy
keeping
with
the call
gas and
going
gun.
because the gas cans could be suspicious. However, even
Good.
with that, the report still wasn't taken seriously, as the dispatcher hung up on her shortly after, before
Oh my
dispatching
God.
one single officer to the scene. An officer that never even made it there, as just moments later he was called off and sent to what was deemed to be a more pressing scene at the local senior center. Naomi's concerns were completely...
I know we always get that impression from this kind of videos and just following the news that the cops in most countries are absolutely useless, right? And I know there's an impression because the bad stuff is reported much more than the good stuff, you know? Like, for every fuck up from cops, there's probably like 100 times where, you know, they had a call, they checked out something suspicious, they took care of like some drunk guy, you know, but that's not reported because that's boring, right? But at the same time, sometimes just eye rolling the amount of time you hear this, you know? I mean, I don't know. Like a guy with a fucking gun, a broken window, and two gas can. Is that not sus enough? Like, what the fuck do you need to say to, like, for it to be like scary enough to the dispatcher? Seriously.
ignored. But despite this, she continued to watch out her window, waiting to see what Noah would do next. 4 minutes after her call with police ended, and 10 minutes after first reporting Noah's behavior, Naomi would dial 911 once again. Only this time, her demeanor was far different.
I just called a few minutes ago and the guy came back out and he fired a gun at somebody and he's laying on the street dead. Oh my God.
Is this enough, or do you need like a couple more buddies?
Naomi's worst fears had come true, as she frantically told dispatch that the man carrying the gun had just shot and killed someone outside of her home.
Oh my God.
Okay, calm down, okay? Stay with me.
I mean, what state is this? Isn't there that fucking state, I forget which one it is, where there's like the, if you're on my property, I'm allowed to shoot you? I only know that from the fucking South Park episode about Zimmerman. So maybe it's fine, I mean, no need to send any cop.
Putting that into the call. Is anyone in immediate danger?
No, that I can see or no.
In response, the operator bizarrely asks if anyone else is in danger, but
I mean, there's a fucker with a gun.
Answers no, before immediately realizing that Noah was heading in the direction of Platt Avenue, which was known to be a busier neighborhood.
Maybe on Platt Avenue there might be people in danger.
Naomi, I need the suspect's description. Do you know his name?
No, I don't.
Okay, is he white, black, Hispanic,
He's
Asian?
white, and he's got long curly hair coming out of his cap.
She desperately tried to relay that more people were likely in harm's way, only to be immediately proven right just seconds later.
I think, yeah, there's people outside that might be in danger up on Platt. Oh, I just heard another gun fire. Oh my God.
When she hears more gunshots, prompting the operator to once again ask,
Yeah, they need to call an ambulance or something right away.
Okay. Is anyone in immediate danger?
What the fuck do you mean? There's gunshots. I'm sure, like, being a dispatcher, you hear so much fucked up stuff that you get desensitized, but like, if you're desensitized to this level of being so... What the fuck? What the fuck? Someone is dead, there's gunshots. Is someone in danger? Maybe not. You know, just... nothing is wrong.
Only people up on Platt, maybe.
All right, I am sending the paramedics to help you now. Stay on the line and I'll tell you exactly what to do next, okay?
Okay.
It was only then that the operator would tell Naomi that police and medical personnel were finally being dispatched to the scene, but by this point, it was far too late. In the moments after Naomi had made her first 911 call, Noah Harpham would first attempt to light his house on fire using the 2 cans of gasoline, though this, however, failed and caused him to quickly shift his focus.
How do you
Noah
fail?
instead stepped outside and brandished his rifle, immediately pointing it directly at Andrew Mayers, who had been riding his bike in the neighborhood, and after seeing the gun, the man stopped and begged him not to shoot, to which Noah responded by pulling the trigger multiple times, killing him instantly, with Andrew Myers being the man that Naomi had seen laying dead on the street. From there, Noah began walking up the street, where he would eventually see 2 women sitting on the porch of a sobriety center, where local women went to get help with their drug and alcohol addictions, and upon noticing them, he immediately started shooting, striking and killing both Christina Galella
That's so
and
fucked.
Jennifer Vasquez. Noah walked for over a mile after this before the police finally caught up with him, and when they called out for him to stop walking, Noah turned and immediately opened fire, leading to a massive shootout.
So he's gonna die and we won't know why he did this.
When the smoke cleared, the only one struck had been Noah, who was lying dead on the pavement, marking the end of his killing spree.
I guess he was insane at the end.
The investigation that followed revealed that Noah had never even met any of the 3 people he killed that day. They were all total strangers, leaving the question, why had he done it? Well, even today, there's still no clear motive, with this appearing to be a completely random and senseless act. But looking at his final and only posts online, Noah was clearly very angry and seemed to be mentally unwell, which was corroborated by testimony from his parents, as they later claimed that he had anger issues and suffered from drug addiction.
I mean, the video, it looks kind of normal.
But what's so unusual about this to me was that
this
this video
text
was
post.
published just 2 days before the killings, and it was clearly not meant to be a one-off post. It was something that he seemed genuinely excited to continue, yet not even 48 hours later, he resorted to this. What happened in that time frame may never be known, but the effects of it will last forever. And I can't help but wonder how differently this all could have gone if that initial 911 operator had just taken Naomi's report seriously.
Seriously.
It didn't start for a full 10 minutes after she started that call, which would have been more than enough time for police to intervene. But instead, Noah was given all the time he needed to end 3 innocent lives.
Like, seriously, I don't know, I don't want to be that guy, right? Because again, I assume, you know, there's only so much scope to the number of, like, incidents being reported, right? So the dispatcher has to, like, try to manage that, right? Like, what seems to be the highest priority, right? And that will lead to mistake, where you will think something is not as big of a deal as it is. But man, like, I don't know. I guess, again, it's such a different culture thing, right? Like, it's a state where it's open carry, so it means, like, you can just walk around with a shotgun if you get a license for it. And people are not supposed to be scared about that. That's kind of an insane concept to me, right? I don't know. Just fucking sad. It could have been avoided. The Deogar ropeway.
It wasn't an attraction for the faint of heart. Standing over 1,300 feet above the ground, the Deogar ropeway was built to take tourists up and down the Trikut mountain in Jharkhand, India. It was the tallest cableway in the entire country, offering an unparalleled view of Deogar and the picturesque landscape around it.
I would shit my pants.
Videos have long since been posted on YouTube showing just how dramatic of a ride this truly is, with one such video being recorded on April 10th, 2022.
A single cable is holding you. I hate that.
Family had been filming their adventure to the Trikut mountain, and we're now filming a first-person view of the descent back down. It wasn't the kind of place for anyone with a fear of heights, and the loud sounds of the car passing the support towers only added to the anxiety of the trip. But the group filming this all remained relatively calm, quietly conversing to themselves, seemingly unfazed by the spectacular height.
Unfazed or just quiet because they're shitting their pants. I don't know.
And enjoying it. A feeling that wouldn't last.
What?
Without any warning, the car was met with a massive force, sending the occupants and the camera to the floor, causing the footage to go dark. In that moment, one of the ropeway's axles had dislodged, causing a failure on the pulley system, which resulted in 2 carts crashing into each other, and the rest coming to a sudden and violent halt. The impact was brutal, but somewhat surprisingly, the footage continued.
The guy knows that the cameraman never dies.
That the ropeway and the cabin these people were in were both still intact before the recording came to an end. This group had survived the impact, but the nightmare was far from over.
Oh
News of
boy.
the collision quickly spread throughout the region, leading to the scene being flooded with rescuers and news crews alike, with everyone trying to figure out what exactly was happening, and the initial prognosis was grim. In the impact, one man in a separate car had been killed, and many others were left injured. And making matters worse, due to the broken axle, the ropeway was now no longer operational, meaning that the 70+ people spread throughout the various cars were now stuck, some of whom were still suspended over 1,000 feet in the air. It was going to be an incredibly difficult rescue operation, just given the height of the ropeway alone. And ultimately, it was determined that the Indian Air Force would utilize their special top-of-the-line helicopters to fly over the cars and lower down ropes with harnesses attached to them for survivors.
I was thinking that's the only logical way to do this, yeah.
And be hoisted up to the helicopter above using an electronic winch. It took hours for them to even make their first attempt, before finally trying their approach on a middle-aged man, who slid on his rescue strap and was then slowly pulled up towards safety.
I feel like the problem is that the helicopter's wind will push some of the cable car off the, off the cable.
The footage of this is horrifying. These people were already over 1,000 feet in the air when their cars got stuck, and now they were being lifted even higher, tethered only by a single rope and a safety harness. Worst of all, it was a particularly windy day, which was made worse by the swirling of the helicopter blades, a combination that caused the man to start swinging wildly from side to side as he hung onto the rope for dear life.
Don't tell me he falls.
It was a grueling journey up, but finally the man reached the aircraft, and with safety just a few feet away, he instinctively reached his arms above his head in an attempt to grab onto the helicopter, a decision that would have disastrous effects.
He slipped out of the harness.
As he did so, his harness slid upwards and was pulled over his shoulders, and then over his arms, before eventually landing in his hands, meaning the only thing left holding him up was his own grip, as he clung to the now useless harness.
That's my worst nightmare. I mean, frankly, I would be dead already because
for a full minute he dangled there, just
with my fear of height, I would have no strength in my arm.
Meanwhile, the rescue crew searched the craft for something they could use to safely hoist him in, but before they got the chance, the man slipped out of his harness, momentarily catching himself on the side of the helicopter itself. But by this point, his strength was gone, and seconds later, his grip would fail for good. Causing him to plummet approximately 2,000 feet to the ground below.
Poor fucking guy. Poor fucking guy.
For those waiting to be rescued, the sight was especially horrific.
Yeah, and you've got 70 people to try this ways. We need a better solution.
As they watched the man who they thought had made it to safety fall to the ground right in front of them, the fear they must have felt knowing that soon it would be their turn is unimaginable. After this, the rescue crews began making tweaks to their operation, which started to lead to a few attempts going off without a hitch. But the entire process was incredibly slow, as a full 24 hours would pass before 60-year-old Shubha Devi would finally get her chance to be removed from the car. And as she started her ascent up to the helicopter, the wind also caused her to start swinging wildly. So wildly, in fact, that the winch used to lift her suddenly stopped working, leaving her hanging there, only moving side to side rather than up towards safety. As she hung there, rescuers on the helicopter frantically tried to figure out what the problem with the winch was. But before they...
I mean, I was gonna say worst case scenario, you move the helicopter and you slowly try to go down to just put her down like this.
Could ever get their answer, the rope suddenly snapped, causing her to free fall to the ground below. It came without any sort of warning, and from what I could find online, there isn't a definitive answer as to how this happened. But either way, it resulted in Shubha's tragic death. It took a total of 48 hours for the last of the survivors to be rescued and finally brought to safety, an unimaginable amount of time in an unimaginable position, with survivors having to watch two people fall to their deaths before them, unsure if they too...
You know, I don't know enough about rescue stuff, but I wonder if this is actually like a good outcome. I mean, obviously sad for the people that died, but in terms of like how complicated of a situation this was, So they saved 70 people and 2 people died. I don't know. I have no idea of like, you know, like it do be like that. Sometimes you can't save everybody, right? And I don't see what other way they could have done this, right? Because there's no ladder that would have reached that high. You know, sometimes like fire trucks, they have like ladders on the back of them that can reach like 5-6-story floor or something, but not that level of height. So the only way to do it was this, right? There was no other logical way to do it. Maybe there was a safer way to do it, I don't know.
Were going to meet the same fate. Since its release, the footage has sparked some debate online, as the media actually hailed this as an impressive and even successful rescue operation for the Indian Air Force.
I don't know.
While others have hit back on this, as both incidents seem to have been entirely preventable, with more people dying from the rescue than the accident itself. Though ultimately there were no repercussions for the rescue crew, with the only punishments being dished out to the operating company DRIL, which was accused of not properly maintaining the ropeway and not following proper safety protocols.
Like again, is there much of a book for like this kind of rescue? Like, is there any similar incident? There must have been, but again, I'm sure like the rescue crew did the best they could, you know, with like improvising in like a situation that's like so unusual, right? I don't know.
It was even alleged that when the initial crash happened, the people operating the ropeway at the time actually fled the scene and never even called authorities. But I'm not sure if this was ever actually proven. DRIL was fined over $1 million and has since been blacklisted from operating ropeways for 5 years, while the families of the deceased were given around $33,000 in compensation. Currently, there are plans to repair and reopen the ropeway, though at this point, no official date has been given for the reopening.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. Alright, well, that was fucked up. That was fucked up. I guess I'd rather never go on something like that, you know. I think that's the most I can say. Yeah. I think I'll avoid ever going on something like that, thank you. I do have fear of heights anyway, so yeah. No thank you. Yeah. Okay, well, another really good video as always from Nick Crowley. I mean, some disturbing stuff, no doubt. Here's the link. So yeah,